let's have this discussion now. The state of some of the country's courts has raised concern around access to justice, but also safety. So the Minister of Justice, Mmamoloko Kubayi, is undertaking oversight visits, this is across the country, to ensure that courts are adequately resourced to deliver on justice. To discuss this further, I am now joined by the Minister herself, Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi, Minister of Justice. A good afternoon to you, Minister. On a Sunday, we appreciate you making time. And in fact, I think it stands out for me, particularly that you'd find the time to speak to us after what could mostly for some be considered a jarring Thursday that you had in the run-up to this weekend, this oversight visit to the new Brighton court. And I believe that upon arrival, you're there also receiving news of a shooting that happened just not long before you arrived, really speaking to the issue that you're there to look at.
No, thank you very much, Naledi, and good afternoon to your viewers as well. Yes, indeed, our condolences to our assistant councillor in Ward 15, Utupsi, the family. I made sure that I go to the family before leaving Kabeja. It was unfortunate that the shooting just happened in the morning while she was taking her child to school. Actually, the narration is that she was holding her child in her hand when the shooting happens. Quite very unfortunate. It does talk to the violent nature of the crimes, especially in that municipality. So the visit did happen. I went there, and you'd remember as well, Naledi, this is a court where our prosecutor was killed, worked Tracy. So during the memorial, when I was in Kabeja, the prosecutors and some of the magistrates asked me to visit New Brighton, which I committed to, and hence I went to see, because they were raising concerns about their safety in the condition that their offices are. Actually, it's on Thursday where I found that one of the prosecutors actually was assaulted inside the office, inside the court, because their office are just accessible to everyone there. Whoever is within court, going to a court, it could be a criminal, a suspect, anyone else could be walking, and they have access to their doors, which do not even have any security feature that is required. So I did the visit around to look at it, the number of security personnel that we have there. I had actually asked for a security assessment because I had not been to the site. I had asked for security assessment immediately leaving the memorial. So the report was ready, but unfortunately it had not been started to be implemented, which I also asked for it to be implemented. But what would be a long-term solution there is to either relocate the court or leave civil matters there and move criminal matters to the other side. There's a land at the back that is available as well that we could utilize to build. But I've already put in to say to the team, they need to put mechanisms to be able to respond. And one of the issues I'm raising, Naledi, with the team of the department, which all of them were in Gauteng on Friday from all the provinces. And my articulation to them is that they are managers. They are employed to do this work. And there are norms and standards that are in place in terms of what are the minimum security requirements per court. And they don't need a minister to visit to see that a prosecutor's office is not well protected or a magistrate office is not within the norms and standards, especially in violent communities that we have. So those are some of the issues that we are raising, we are correcting across. Obviously, they give feedback about the cost cuts that they've experienced, over $1 billion that has been cut from our financial budget, and they say this is what has been. But I said we need to be able to do more with less, find mechanisms to be able to be creative. And I said, for example, in courts such as domestic areas or even civil matters, you don't need ordains with the police officers. You could be able to be creative and bring in what like Gauteng has done in creating safety patrollers and all that. To be visible, to be able to pick up what can be able and report and call for backup. So that's what I've requested the team to immediately do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big task that you're taking on, and really here we're talking about the new Brighton court, right? And I'm seeing that just recently, for instance, the Democratic Alliance also having their own oversight visit into the Pinetown Magistrates Court, and they're also raising issues of security. So just from a broader point of view, what it is that the department would need to ensure that we do have tighter security at our courts. Is it a resource issue? Is it a capacity issue? And what is it that from a broader scale we need to do? Because Pinetown, New Brighton, just but a litmus test of what might be a national problem.
No, we need firstly a review strategy. Previously, we would have not these violent crimes that we're seeing in our communities, the number of cases that we are doing, but also previously you would not have people going inside courts to attack. So you'd have attacks everywhere else, not inside. But now with the current environment, then we are learning more to say, okay, people have become brazen, whatever reason they've become. We've got to be able to look at it. Ordinarily, it wouldn't be a Minister of Justice that spends so much money on security personnel and features in terms of our courts. The second area is to be able to utilize technology, Naledi, to compensate for what we can't be able to. So your CCTV cameras, your robotics will have to do those things so that they are in place in assisting us there to deal with the security. But also in terms of, I've proposed this, and some of the courts, the rules do allow in terms of virtual hearings. Where in case it's known that this is a hardcore gangster that is going to appear before a court, therefore possibility is that either a rival gang is going to come, or let's say somebody, in the case of Wynberg, where you have a gangster that has killed another gang of another rival group, and you know that they are going to want to do a revenge, and therefore they can utilize the court because this person is arrested and is in prison. They don't have access, so his appearance or her appearance of that day then makes it a high risk. And these are the things that we are starting to say. The approach and the strategy in how we deal with matters of courts is important, because that person then can be kept in a prison and do a hearing virtually while he's not exposed and risking the presiding officers as well.
Yeah. Just to take a step back, you did talk about the killing of Tracy Brown, essentially the motivation as to why you ended up having that oversight visit as well in New Brighton. I'm seeing a few reports that there has been an arrest made. I mean, any updates that you've received there into the work that's being done to get behind the killing of Tracy Brown, Minister?
I have received an update even a day before I went to New Brighton. I've been expecting that arrest will be made. I do understand that the police are dealing with the case, and I would like to allow them to be able to be communicating in terms of the case. But we'll monitor it, we welcome the arrest, but would want to have more details being provided for in the public so that we can be able to build confidence. My issue now is no longer about having justice, but protecting prosecutors, because when they are killed, they will fear to execute their jobs without fear or favor. And that's what we do not want, because it compromises the whole justice system.
Yeah, it is a particularly interesting time when you look at the justice system in South Africa. I mean, we are just not so far away. I was going to say weeks, and I'm realizing it's already the 24th of August. So you've got the Madlanga Commission that's set to begin its work just next month. So many eyes are going to be on what comes out of that. I'm keen to hear from yourself as Justice Minister the ideal outcomes, or at least the first sort of conversation that you'd want to see playing out in that commission to deal with the allegations made against people in the higher echelons of our justice system. What answers you're looking for in the weeks and months, I suppose, that come?
Look, for me, it's relating obviously to my portfolio. As we said, we will cooperate in terms of where we are required by the Commission to appear, if any of us have to appear as the justice portfolio. Obviously, the issues of NPA, looking forward to understanding what are the complexities, if indeed there's been any colleagues in NPA who have colluded with wrong people, the details thereof, so that we can rebuild our confidence in our institution, especially NPA is very critical. Our courts are very important. If there's any magistrate or judge that has been colluding with wrong people, we need to be able to rid those people out of the system to rebuild confidence. And I'm comfortable and hopeful that all this information will come to the fore so that we can deal with it. Because if it's not dealt with, then it gives an impression that all magistrates, all judges are corrupt, or all prosecutors are corrupt, and therefore compromising the justice system, which is not true, because there are men and women within the justice portfolio, within the justice system, in our courts, who are doing everything. They're going beyond the call of duty to ensure that there's prosecution. I mean, I was in Randburg. I met a prosecutor who's in the week's time had several life sentence prison that he has been able to get out of his prosecution for sexual offences, in both within Gauteng, in the Soweto Magistrate Court, and in Randburg Magistrate Court. So that speaks volume, because you could hear that this person is passionate about fighting sexual offences in the country. So there are quite a number of them who are doing everything they're about to fight corruption, to recoup the money. You look at SIU, what they've been able to do, fighting tooth and nail to get the money back of the state. This is what we have as the portfolio as well, not only the negative issues. And that's what I'm looking forward for this process to pass, so that we can build the image that South Africa can be proud of, and the image, not only the image, not only them knowing about justice, feeling about justice, but seeing justice being done in our country.
Yeah, and of course, and I need to squeeze this in, Minister, if you'll allow me. Of course, you also have the upcoming Truth and Reconciliation Commission. They're going to be having a consultative process with the various families. And I see that you have been speaking out and saying, well, compliance throughout this process is incredibly important. I'd like to hear more from you on that. But again, just the confidence that you think this will give to the families. More than anything, South Africans that have watched the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, decades ago, and now we're seeing an inquiry into why prosecutions never happened, what that does for the confidence that we have in the justice system at the end of this inquiry.
No, definitely it is concerning. You'd remember that the families took us to court, the president, myself as Minister of Justice, Minister of Police, the NPA, and the National Commissioner, saying that there's been allegation of political interference in terms of prosecution for the or prosecution on matters that relate to the TRC, which we've denied knowing of any. And that's why we've done the affidavit. We've agreed to the commission to get to the bottom of it, so that we can know if there's been interference, by whom. And that person, why did they do that if they have done it? So we will be preparing as the portfolio to provide some of the information that is required by the commission to assist them, because as the portfolio, obviously, there was my predecessors, which I will represent in terms of being the person in office to provide the information if there's been any decision, so that those allegations can be tested. We look forward to that, so that it can be cleared. We have seen the NPA being able to move into court, opening inquest about apartheid perpetrated against apartheid perpetrators, including the Galata 4. The inquest has opened. You would have seen quite a number of them, but also there's been convictions. The causes for murder were convicted. So it's those things that we will be able to bring to the fore to prove, as we did with the affidavit by the president, to prove that there's not been, that we are aware of interference, and therefore those who are alleging will have to provide us with those information so that it can be tested.
Yeah, lots happening. But thank you so much for speaking to us, Minister. We really do appreciate it. Justice Minister there, Mmamoloko Kubayi, speaking to us, and of course touching at the beginning there on security in our very own courts, and then we expanded into other justice-related matters.